Chop Shop! But this is not a registered trademark of NBC Universal. Welcome to Season 9, Episode 3 of Cinema Chop Shop. This is a movie podcast that concedes that remakes are going to happen, so why shouldn't movie buffs,
like us,
decide who is recast in those iconic roles? My name is...
TraVelvet Jones, a.k.a. Rosanna Trava, a.k.a. Travis, you ignorant slut.
Oh my God. And I'm joined here in the studio by my co-host and co-producer, the spy who shawned me, aka Stranger Than Fiction, aka National Lampoon's VacaShawn. Also in our third seat, Chop Shop Regulator, Keenan and Chel's Good Burger,
nice,
aka Celeste and Jesse Forever, aka Chelf, aka the Chelatin Twin. Further description of the show, the tagline says, watch, chop, retrofit, because essentially that's what we do here. We watch older movies, sometimes classic films with iconic actors, and then we retrofit them by tweaking the design with new parts. Disclaimer, we're not actually in favor of the remake, reboot, sequel-dependent cinematic culture.
Not ready for prime time.
This is more of an exercise in satire and irony. We try to be funny.
And sometimes we get extended for another season.
Excellent. It's Saturday Night Live alumni movies. Movies made by people who were cast members on Saturday Night Live, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And how are you guys feeling going into this?
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay?
It's very ominous, though. Like, it's huge.
Yeah, it's a broad category. I think we found a list of 100 movies, and it was nowhere near
Close, because you've got a show that's been on the air since 75.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the first episode as a 2-year-old, 3-year-old. So yeah, it's there's a lot of cast members that have had films,
Mm-hmm.
and there are a lot of cast members who popped in and popped out of the show for a very brief period of time. So
Sure.
yeah, there's a lot to choose from.
So Saturday Night Live has made several efforts to develop some of the more popular sketches into feature-length films. The first foray into film came with the successful Aykroyd Belushi vehicle, The Blues Brothers, in 1980. In 1990, Michaels, that's Lorne Michaels, oversaw the writing of a sketch anthology feature film called The Saturday Night Live Movie, with many of the show's then current writing staff, including Al Franken, Tom Davis, Greg Daniels, Jim Downey, Conan O'Brien, Robert Smigel, and George Meyer contributed. The screenplay only got as far as a revised first draft dated 1990, July 26, 1990, before being abandoned. I would have liked to have seen that movie. The success of Wayne's World in 1992 encouraged Michaels to produce more film spin-offs based on several popular sketch characters. Michaels revived 1970s characters Coneheads in 1993, followed by It's Pat in 1994, Stewart Saves His Family in 1995, A Night at the Roxbury, 1998, Superstar in 1999, and The Ladies' Man in 2000. Some did moderately well, though others did not. Notably, It's Pat, which did so badly at the box office, the studio that made the film, Touchstone Pictures, owned by the Walt Disney Company, which also owns NBC's rival ABC, pulled it only 1 week after releasing it. And Stewart Saves His Family, which lost $14 million. Many of these films were produced by Paramount Pictures. The films based on the Blues Brothers were produced by Universal Studios, which merged with NBC in 2004 to form NBC Universal. Universal also has a joint venture with Paramount for international distribution of the two studios' films. So that's a breakdown of the history, the production history of these SNL alumni movies and movies that came out of America's favorite sketch comedy show. So, any final thoughts on our subject?
I've got more, but I'll save it for my...
Okay. All right, so we're moving it into our next segment, which is the Midnight Double Feature. And this is where we go around the panel and we each suggest 2 films for a double feature that we feel like fits into our category, that are somewhat related to each other, and that would make a good pairing. So, Chelsea, can you give us your double feature first?
Yeah. My double feature, both my films are from 1980, and they both starred Gilda Radner.
Okay.
The first one is Animal Olympics.
So good.
I loved it. I watched it last night.
Did she voice more than one character?
Yeah, there's only 5
Okay.
voices.
Gotcha.
She did
And
all
she's
the
the
females.
only female.
Gotcha. Yeah, that movie is quite fun and family friendly.
Yeah. And The Barbara Walters.
Yes.
Barbara Warbler.
Yes. It's fun stuff.
So it's an animated film that capitalized on the popularity of the Olympic Games.
Uh-huh.
You said 70...
It's 80.
80. So it came out around the LA Summer Olympic Games then. So they were really riding the wave of that popularity.
And then you're going to pair that with what, Chelsea?
First Family.
Okay.
So I knew I wanted to do a Gilda double feature.
Yeah.
Because I love her. And I started searching. And this movie has Gilda Radner and Bob Newhart, who I love more than anything.
Yeah, that's like, they made that for you.
And,
I know.
And it's got Madeline Kahn and Harvey Korman.
And Bob Newhart is the president.
That's amazing.
It's written and directed by Buck Henry,
Okay.
longtime SNL writer and sometime actor.
And what year was this?
1980.
80. Now, does it hold up?
All right, so reading the description, I was like, ooh, this might be a little bit racist.
Uh-huh.
However, it is, but there's good comebacks.
Okay.
And you can kind of see what they're doing.
Yeah, I kind of liked it. I like Buck Henry's political mind anyway.
Okay.
But it involves a make-believe African nation that's an island nation.
Wakanda.
And they're, yeah, right? That's
No,
what
it's
I
called
said.
Gorm.
No, Northern Gorm.
Northern Gorm.
And they've unlocked the secret to really huge produce, like vegetables
But
that are
okay.
giant.
The other thing that really gets them, like, freaking out over this is when they come and visit the president, they give him a gift, and they check it with a Geiger meter, and it's like a source of uranium from this big giant mountain that lives on their islands.
And
they're
then
like,
Chevy Chase found it and got superpowers.
No.
So did you like these?
Oh, I loved
Seems
it.
like you did.
I loved it.
Right on. Nice Gilda Radner tribute in your double feature. Over to you, Sean.
Okay, so in 1980, Lorne Michaels was burned out and announced that he was going to take a hiatus from the show. He assumed that NBC was going to put the show on hiatus as well.
Oh, yeah.
NBC said, no, we're not doing that. They brought in a lady to run the show. She lasted one season. She brought in Eddie Murphy and Joe Piscopo, but the rest of the cast was fired after one season because he said, fuck, on the air.
Oh, boy.
And it was one of the guys that has passed away. I can't remember. Rocket.
Okay.
And they did a Who Shot JR spoof.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, how do you feel? He said, oh man, it was all fucked up.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well that's the end of her career.
Yeah.
They then brought in Dick Ebersol. Dick Ebersol is known for sports at NBC, but he was one of the co-creators of SNL originally. And he helmed the show from 81 through 85.
Okay, so 4 seasons.
And in 85, because the show wasn't doing well, he brought in an all-star cast for one season only. That was Billy Crystal, Martin Short, Christopher Guest, Harry Shearer. I know I'm leaving some out.
Yeah.
And the show was the highest rated that it's ever been, and the critics were like, this is great. But he wanted to move the show away from a live format to a taped format.
Oh, really?
And NBC said, no, we're done with you, Dick.
That's kind of the whole point.
And so that's when Lorne came back the following season.
Okay.
And that season was a dreadful season. That's where he brought in Anthony Michael Hall, Robert Downey Jr., and Randy Quaid.
Weird.
Yeah, they were all for one season, and there was a reason for it. It was a dreadful cast, but there were some other key players that were brought in as well who lasted throughout the back half of the 80s. So, all that preamble, my double feature is going to feature an iconic SNL cast member paired with 1 year cast members.
Nice.
So the first one will be National Lampoon's Vacation from 1983, starring Chevy Chase. Chevy Chase, who was only on the show for 2 seasons, though, even though we consider him iconic.
He was very prominently featured, though.
Yes, he was. He was the news anchor.
Mm-hmm.
But, he co-starring Randy Quaid and Anthony Michael Hall. Both one season stars of the show. So I'm going to, I don't need to talk about vacation. No. We know what that is.
Moose out front should have told you.
Yeah, right? Also, John Candy was supposed to have been on SNL. I'm sorry, he was offered to be on SNL during the Dick Ebersol years. He said no. Catherine O'Hara was offered to be on the show as well. She said yes, but backed out at the last second.
Okay.
And she offered Robin Dukes as her replacement.
I imagine that Christopher Guest, that connection probably helped her get the nod. Catherine O'Hara?
Christopher Guest came in after that.
Oh, okay.
A couple of years. So by back half of the double features from 1986, it's The Three Amigos.
The Three Amigos!
Starring once again Chevy Chase and the one-year sensation Martin Short, as well as Steve Martin, who was not a cast member, however, he is so closely associated with the show.
And he's guested
He's
more
hosted
than 5 times, because he's part of the Five-Timers Club.
He's way up there. But also John Lovitz was in this movie as well, who was on the show for 5 seasons. He was one of the ones that came in the 1985 year.
Love John Lovitz.
But Three Amigos is great.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tribute to old Hollywood, and it's really funny. And
how do you know it's a mail plane? The 2 little balls at the back of the plane.
And because of this, we all know what the word plethora means.
Yep. And Chelsea had something to say?
Have you guys ever met an SNL cast member?
Oh, I cannot say that I have.
Oh boy, I did.
Who did you meet?
Martin Short.
Wow. And can you tell us a little bit about that encounter?
I lived in Canada and I went to Muskoka with a friend of mine. They have a cabin up there. And to get to like the general store or anything, you have to take a boat because everybody owns like their own little island. So we're at the store and Martin Short friggin' walks in.
Yeah.
And I was like peeing myself.
And so
basically.
did you go up?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And introduce yourself?
Absolutely.
Was he congenial about it?
Oh, he was so nice. He was so sweet. He was very
Was
excited.
he a decent guy?
Oh my god.
What's that character?
Jiminy
Glick.
Oh, okay. Jiminy Glick does some
I
similar
love Jiminy Glick. Oh, that's
incantations.
such a funny one.
All right. Cool deal. Okay, so that's both of yours, Sean?
Those are mine.
All right. Well, I went with 2 of Belushi's first vehicles. The first one everybody knows about. It's National Lampoon's Animal House from 1978, and Belushi had worked for the National Lampoon prior to being hired on SNL. It's directed by John Landis, but written by Harold Ramis, Douglas Kennedy, and Chris Miller. We got a 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and this 1978 American comedy film directed by John Landis was starring John Belushi, Peter Riegert, Tim Matheson, John Vernon, Verna Bloom, Tom Hulce, Stephen Furst, and Donald Sutherland. When they arrive at college, socially inept freshmen Larry, played by Thomas Hulce, and Kent, played by Stephen Furst, attempt to pledge the snooty Omega Theta Pi house, but are summarily rejected. Lowering their standards, they try at the notoriously rowdy Delta Tau Chi house, and get in. The trouble is, the college dean, played by John Vernon, has it in for the Deltas. He's put them on double secret probation and secretly assigned Omega's president, James Doughton, the task of having their charter revoked. All right, so the following year, we've got 1941 from 1979, directed by Steven Spielberg, but written by Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale, the writing, directing, producing partnership behind the Back to the Future series. The direction so just said that. And featuring an ensemble cast including Dan Aykroyd, Ned Beatty, John Belushi, John Candy, Christopher Lee, Tim Matheson, Toshiro Mifune, Robert Stack, and Mickey Rourke in his film debut. After Japan's attack on Pearl Harbor, residents of California descend into a wild panic, afraid that they might be the next target. Among them are Wild Bill Kelso, played by John Belushi, and he's a rogue fighter pilot. A crazed National Guard pilot. Sergeant Frank Tree, played by Dan Aykroyd, a patriotic, straight-laced tank crew member. Ward Douglas, played by Ned Beatty, a civilian willing to help with the American war effort at any cost. And Major General Joseph W. Stilwell, played by Robert Stack, who just wants to go watch Dumbo. And I love this movie. I have a warmer place in my heart for 1941 than I do Animal House. Maybe because my dad liked it so much and we watched it a lot when I was a kid, and not Animal House as much. I kind of watched that later, probably late in high school or early in college.
I just like the opening scene of 1941.
Oh yeah, it's great. The submarine.
Oh, Periscope.
Yes, yes. Hollywood. And isn't it Slim Pickens who gets trapped on the boat?
Does he?
I'm pretty sure Hollis Wood is played by Slim Pickens.
That's awesome.
Yeah, great movie and pairs very well with Animal House. All right, that wraps us up on the Midnight Double Feature. moving it into our feature segment, which is the recast. And this is where we take a pre-selected film that we've all seen, and we talk about it a little bit, then we hypothetically recast a few of the main roles with contemporary actors who are at the height of their powers. And the first movie is another one that I love quite a bit from my childhood. It's called Stripes from 1981. Had you both seen this before?
Yes.
I haven't seen it in years.
Okay, neither had I. It's probably been about 12 years since I rewatched it. But I did go back and revisit some segments and some YouTube clips today, so I feel like I've got a pretty good handle on it. Stripes from 1981, directed by Ivan Reitman, who also directed Ghostbusters, Twins, and Meatballs. It's got an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. Hard luck cabbie John Winger, played by Bill Murray, directionless after being fired from his job and dumped by his girlfriend, enlists in the U.S. Army with his close pal Russell Ziske, played by Harold Ramis. After his barely satisfactory performance in basic training, the irreverent Winger emerges as the figurehead for a ragtag band of Army misfits. However, his hijinks threaten to cause an international scandal when he inadvertently commandeers a military assault vehicle behind enemy lines. It's so fun. From the very opening scene where the lady in the backseat of his cab is just bitching him out, and he just pulls over on the bridge, gets out, and starts walking away, leaving traffic behind him. The mud wrestling scene with John Candy, that's iconic. The kitchen utensils used as sexual apparati.
Special action.
Yeah. So what were your guys' thoughts on this?
It's a fun movie. That's a Fat Jack.
Yeah.
It will forever be linked to that film. The female cast of PJ Souls and Sean Young. What a you could not pick two more disparate actresses,
but in
to be
this,
paired, and
in
it
this,
worked.
Yeah, it worked.
John Larroquette's in this.
Oh, as the effeminate
Captain
officer
Stillman,
who's also always spying on the women's showers.
Right. Yeah. Judge Reinhold's in this.
Yes.
It's a great movie.
It really is. So we were only able to get to 4 roles to recast. We've got John Winger, played by Bill Murray, at 31. We've got Russell Ziske, played by the late, great Harold Ramis, at 37. We've got Sergeant Holka, played by Warren Oates. And this performance was a tour de force. I thought he was very effective, almost to the extent that you would believe he had been a drill sergeant, kind of like the guy in Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah. We most recently recast Warren Oates from Badlands.
Yep.
He was Daddy.
Yep. All right, and then finally we've got Ox, played by John Candy, who, as former producer Andrew pointed out this week, John Candy is irreplaceable. So I'm very interested to see where we go with this. Anything else? Any further thoughts before we get into the recasting? All right, Chelsea, who's going to be your John Winger?
I had a hard time recasting both of these.
Mm-hmm.
These people are so iconic, and they fit in such a mold from my birth growing up that it's hard to recast them. So I think my recasts are shit. I hate them.
Oh.
I really don't like it.
Okay. We'll keep that in mind. My
Bill Murray is going to be kick-ass himself, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Okay. He is pretty kick-ass.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna have to fill out a little bit more. He's pretty ripped right now. We need to start him kind of pudgy and then get him ripped.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Over to you, Sean, for your John Winger.
Agreed. Bill Murray, we've had him before to recast. It's tough to do.
It really is.
So
one of a kind.
I focused on Bill Murray's smartassness and kind of let that be my compass. And so I went with an actor who is known for being a smartass in his most iconic role. He was in Bad Turn Worse, Rob the Mob, Movie 43, but everybody knows him as Lip from Shameless. I went with Jeremy Allen White.
Interesting. Okay. My actor/comedian/director is 30 now. Recently, he was in Promising Young Woman. Zach Stone is going to be famous, and he also directed 8th Grade. His name is Bo Burnham. Bo Burnham is going to be my John Winger.
Is there anything better than Pussy? A really good book.
All right, next up. Is that from Promising Young Woman?
That's
From
from Vines.
Oh, okay.
Bo Burnham used to be on Vines.
Harold Ramis at 37 playing Russell Ziske. He's John Winger's best friend. They enlist together. And who was your pick for Russell, Chelsea?
So he just has like a really recognizable look and face.
Oh, for sure.
And so that's sort of what I use to recast.
Mm-hmm.
And my actor mostly does TV. I went with Eric Andre.
Ha! That would be insane. Eric Andre from The Mitchells versus the Machines, Bad
Yeah.
Trip, and The Internship. I also picked Eric Andre.
Oh, nice!
I shopped Eric Andre for this.
Very good.
I'm really thrilled with my pick.
Okay.
He's 35 years old, and Harold Ramis, being an actor, writer, and director,
Mhm.
I wanted to get an actor, writer, director to fill his shoes. This guy has been in Pieces of a Woman.
Mm-hmm.
He's
So
going.
am I.
He's going to be in the upcoming Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series.
Uh-huh.
He has directed Daddy Longlegs, The Black Balloon. Let's see. He co-directed Uncut Gems.
Nice.
His name is Benny Safdie.
Oh, one of the Safdie brothers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And there's some face
There he
value when he
is.
puts on his glasses.
For
too.
sure. All right. I think that was excellent.
I really like that one.
Very cool. All right, next up we've got Sergeant Holka. Warren Oates was 53. And Chelsea, who's your sergeant?
So this one is hard because it really seems like he could be a drill sergeant.
Yeah, exactly.
So I had to think of somebody that I was like, well, who would I listen to
Mm-hmm.
if I was in boot camp still? And only one person came to mind,
Who was that?
Dwight Schrute.
Super cool. Yeah, I can see it actually. Rainn Wilson. Yeah, that's good. That's good. It just makes me miss the good old days of Halloween.
That was the best class.
All right, Sean, over to you, buddy.
False. My actor's 53 years old. I think he will be able to pull off a drill sergeant, but most people will know him for comedic roles. He was in The Incredible Hulk,
Mm-hmm.
the 2008 version. He was in Muppets Most Wanted. He's a voice in all the Dory and the Dory movies,
Finding
Nemo.
Dory,
Finding Nemo, and that
all
stuff.
the Dory movies.
Um,
Dory the Explorer.
But he was also in Modern Family
Mhm.
with Ty Burrell.
All right. Ty Burrell. Good deal. My Sergeant Holka is 52 now. Let's see. He was in Blast from the Past,
Oh, I love that.
George of the Jungle, and Encino
Yay!
Man. I went with Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser. He's going to have to do this before or after he plays that 600-pound man in Darren Aronofsky's movie.
It's Cliff Steele.
All right, we got one more, and that's Ox, played by John Candy. And Sean, I think I told you earlier in the week, I was really struggling with this because how do you sub out that Canadian bacon?
I know, right?
How do you get a
Oh.
better piece of candy than John Candy? And it was tough. So I'm not saying that there could be any replacement, but for this gun to my head situation, I came down to something. But I want to hear what you got first, Chelsea.
Same. My actor was in Hot Tub Time Machine, The Croods, Kick-Ass 2, Hot Tub Time Machine 2, and Sex Drive. I went with Clark Duke.
I gave some thought to Clark Duke.
He's 36 now. He was in Sex Drive, Hot Tub Time Machine, Arkansas, which he also directed. Clark Duke.
Arkansas was good.
Arkansas was quite
That
good.
almost made my top.
Not the state, the movie.
No, the movie. That almost made my list of top 20.
We had two.
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
Wow.
Yep.
Uh,
Sean, over to you.
I went a little older with a 34-year-old actor.
Okay.
This actor was in The Big Sick. This actor was in Girls. This actor was in Shrill. But let's remember this remake, the Army is pretty all-inclusive. I went with SNL actress Adie Bryant.
You know, I thought about doing
She's
that.
awesome.
I think Adie Bryant would fucking
Yeah.
kill this.
She's quite good. And you know what? Even though she's only been on the show for a few seasons now, she makes her way onto a list of like top 15 cast members of all time on multiple sources.
She's really,
Mhm.
really good at
Her?
doing the awkward, sweaty, nervous
Mhm.
that every person feels
Yeah.
having their like this anxiety on. She's just really good.
Also, I think that confidence-wise, she's a completely unapologetic plus-size woman.
Oh yeah.
And I think that there's a lot to be said.
Well,
for that.
she's the daughter of Lane Bryant, the plus-size store chain.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm just kidding.
Oh shit! What if she is?
No, I don't know. Maybe she is. No, she's
Her
The
Ted
heiress.
Cruz is fucking hilarious.
Her what? Her Ted
Ted
Cruz?
Cruz?
Yeah.
Oh my
Yo, it's
God.
so
That
good.
Ted Cruz is the
Oh my
best.
god.
All right. Well, in terms of final thoughts on Stripes, I have to give it a wholehearted recommend.
Absolutely.
Me too.
It's very fun. Just going back and watching clips this week, I was chuckling, and it made me want to go back and rewatch it in its entirety. All right. Well, we're gonna head into intermission, but not before we say, "Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves some
something from the Bassomatic.
Spishak." The movie that we're going to be talking about for this one is one that I still kind of enjoy, and Sean has strong feelings about. Chelsea?
I fucking hate this movie and I hated it when it came out.
It's called Coneheads from 1993, directed by Steve Barron, who also directed 1990's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and The Adventures of Pinocchio, that weird kind of Rankin and Bass style Pinocchio that came out in 1996. We got a 35% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Way lower. Should be
It should
way
be lower.
fucking lower.
Cone-headed extraterrestrials, Beldar, played by Dan Aykroyd, and Primat, played by Jane Curtin, find themselves in New Jersey after a recon mission from their home planet of Remulac goes awry. Stranded, they are forced to live as typical suburban humans. Beldar gets a job, and daughter Connie, played by Michelle Burke, grows up to be a typical, if oddly shaped, teenager. When INS agents start investigating the family and Beldar receives sinister orders from Remulac, the Coneheads must decide where their allegiances lie. Thoughts?
As I said in my review, it lacks the biting socio-political commentary,
Xenophobia?
the xenophobia that the sketches always had, and there's none of that in the film. It's cool to see a lot of SNL cast member cameos in this, but it also reeks of just. There's a Subway sponsorship in it.
Subway, the sandwich
Sandwich shop, you know. I remember that very
Oh,
clearly
yeah.
in '93 because I think that was the summer I worked at Subway in
Okay.
college, and I believe there was like Conehead merch.
I remember from my first viewing thinking that the CGI of her eating that sandwich was pretty damn good, but it doesn't hold up now. And in fact, you can almost see a little cut where it goes from the CGI sandwich to the end of the sandwich that she puts in her mouth. And of course, Chris Farley's like, "Whoa, my mom's the only one I ever saw put away a sandwich like that." And he keeps doing this chicken neck thing with his head.
I like David Spade's character
Oh, yeah, the
because
kiss ass.
he was so true to David Spade's characters and everything.
Yes. Also, tons of good cameos.
Yeah.
That's one of the bright spots of this movie is we get to see all these heavy hitters from SNL and otherwise.
Yeah, you
in
can see
small
Dave
roles.
Thomas from SCTV.
John Lovitz as the dentist.
Yes.
Does Phil Hartman?
Phil
show?
Hartman,
Yes.
Adam Sandler.
Yeah, Adam Sandler sells him the bogus fake ID and fake documentation. DeChico? Mr. DeSicco? All right, so the roles that we're going to recast. We've got Beldar, played by Aykroyd, who was 41. Primat, played by Jane Curtin, who was 46. Connie, played by Michelle Burke, who was 23. And for the listeners, she played the older sister to Mitch in Dazed and Confused.
Right, and I was telling you that there's a scene in the film from Coneheads where she is on camera with Parker Posey
Uh-huh.
and Joey Lauren Adams,
Nice.
reuniting those three from Dazed and Confused. which I
And
thought
did you
was kinda
see,
neat.
side note, did you see, Chelsea, that I added a Parker Posey episode to our upcoming schedule?
I have not seen that yet.
All right, so who is your Beldar?
My actor was in Pineapple Express, Up in the Air, The Mitchells. I went with Kenny Powers, Danny McBride.
Danny McBride. Okay.
I can dig that.
Yeah, that's an interesting choice. But it's gonna add a whole new dynamic to the character. I think.
Kind of my point.
He's
Like
gonna
a
be
redneck Conehead.
Yeah, he's gonna be like white trashy Belda.
Here's the thing. I didn't see the Conehead sketches until after I
Right.
saw this movie. And the sketches were way better than this movie. So I need to change this movie.
Understood. Over to you, Sean.
My actor will be 43 in just a few weeks. He was in Jeepers Creepers, Galaxy Quest.
Yes.
Accepted, and Live Free or Die Hard. I think he would do a decent job of this. I went Justin Long.
Very nice, sir. Respect. My pick is 41 now. He was in Promising Young Woman. He was in Hello, My Name is Doris. And on the TV show New Girl, his name is Max Greenfield. Greenfeld? Greenfeld. Max Greenfeld is going to be my Beldar Conehead. Next, Primat, played by the great Jane Curtin. And I'm just now realizing that this sketch and her association with the character might be why she was able to land the role on Third Rock from the Sun.
Yeah.
She got similarly themed elements there.
Well, that and she had proven herself on sitcoms with
Yes.
Kate and Allie, which
Absolutely.
was a great sitcom.
All right, so Jane Curtin was 46, and who did you pick, Chelsea?
My actress is mostly known from a TV show called The Big Bang Theory that plays all the time on many stations. I went with Melissa Rauch.
Marisha Roche.
Yeah,
Murder.
thank you.
She's
Yeah.
good. Did you ever see The Gold?
The Bronze?
The Bronze.
Yes.
Thank you, the Bronze. Sorry.
Okay, that's her. She
I knew it was a
played.
medal.
She played a Tanya Harding type.
Gymnast, yeah. She's very talented. I always liked her on the VH1 I Love the 80s type shows.
Yeah.
She was very fun in those.
Cool deal. Over to you, Sean.
46 years old, that's what I went with for my recast as well. This actress can be seen in The Neon Demon, Lost River, Ginger and Rosa, as well as Mad Men. She gives me a Conehead. I went with Christina Hendricks.
Yes. Oh man, she's on a new show that Michelle and I are watching called Britannia, about the Roman conquest of Britannia, and it's pretty good. It's like one of those kind of sexy historical dramas, you know, with plenty of TNA and violence.
Nice.
It's like history, but they have sex.
Yes. Which I think that at some point in history people did.
People do
Yeah.
have sex.
My pick for the role of Primat is 45 now. She was in 27 Dresses, Ant-Man, Addicted to Fresno, and Archer. Her name is Judy Greer, and she was born for this role.
Oh man, that's a good
That's
recast.
so good.
Judy Greer is so fucking funny.
I love it. All right, next up we got Connie. She just wants to be a normal teenage girl, and she's actually very socially accepted considering the gigantic protrusion from her cranium. Cranium protrusion. Remove the decal. And so Michelle Burke was 23. Chelsea, who did you go with?
My actress was in Deadpool 2, Tragedy Girls. I went with Brianna Hildebrand.
Brianna Hildebrand is good.
I like it.
Right on. Sean?
23 years old. I'm with an actress who is in Kickin' It. Same kind of different as me. And she played the character Tandy Bowen in a lot of Marvel TV series, starting with Cloak and Dagger. Her name is Olivia Holt.
Olivia Holt is good. To me, she has a little bit of that. Who's the girl in Swim Fan?
Oh,
Yeah.
Erica something.
Christensen.
Erica Christensen. She reminds me of her.
By the way, speaking of this character, you know, this was originally played by Lorraine Newman in the TV series.
Okay.
She was in the movie.
Who was she?
She was, after they went back to Rimulac,
Rimulac, okay.
she was sitting next to them in the stand.
When he was narfling the Garthak?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So
That's you?
my Connie is 22 now. She's in movies such as Fresh, War of the Worlds, and Normal People. Her name is Daisy Edgar Jones. Daisy Edgar Jones. And she just has a kind of familiar girl next door quality.
She has a very long neck, which I think will be even.
Oh, yeah,
it'd be
it would
very
help a lot.
interesting
Yeah.
with that long cone head.
Yeah, they could take a couple inches off the cone just because she's got such a long giraffe neck. She may or may not have been in that Aziz Ansari TV show. You know what I'm talking about? Master of None. Was that her?
I don't know.
I
Dana.
It looks like her.
It does look a lot like her, but it might not be her. She has very similar features, if not. All right, we got one more, and that is the role of Ronnie. He is a mechanic. He likes to drink beer on the job, and he loves Connie. I love you. I told you how I feel about you. So Chelsea, who did you pick for Ronnie?
I feel like this pick is a little bit of a cop-out.
Okay.
My actor was in I, Tonya,
Mhm.
Richard Jewell. I went with Walter Hauser.
Paul Walter Hauser. Yeah, we were just talking about
I
him
know,
the other
that's why I
day
feel
as
like
a
it's cop-out.
possible recast for Candy in
Yeah,
Stripes.
uh-huh.
But you leaned down, you flipped it, and you reversed it.
I did.
I like it. Yeah, that's
I
cool.
dig it.
I want to see this.
It's a tough recast, and I was just talking
Is he a
about
little old for Ronnie?
I fudged the ages, but not by much.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
it's still in range.
It's not a legality issue with him.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, I was talking about how Farley was a bit one-dimensional, but what he was really good at it. And that's a tough recast for me. So I kind of went with somebody who played kind of that weird fringe loser guy in a film that I saw recently. But he was in Shaft. He was in Tut.
Tut? About King Tut?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was in Now Apocalypse, and referencing his character that he played in Zombieland Double Tap, the weird boyfriend hippie guy that was stealing the songs and
Oh,
telling
yeah.
Abigail Breslin that he made them up.
Uh-huh.
Is Avan Joja.
Yeah. He's real good looking compared to Chris Farley.
Yeah, he is. But if you look at his stuff in Now Apocalypse,
Yeah.
he looks kind of like a dirty fringe greaser.
Okay.
So I think
I actually, for age range, I think I shopped him. All right, my pick for Ronnie is 29 now as well. He was in Escape Room, A Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, and the TV show I'm in the Band. His name is Logan Miller. Logan Miller is going to be...
Oh, he has the perfect bewildered expression in that show.
Whoa! Hey, Mr. Conehead! All right, so I'm going to say mild recommend, but the sketches are better.
It is a definite don't recommend. And you know, one thing I just realized was not in this film:
What?
consuming mass quantities.
Yeah, they did. Tons of it.
Beer.
No, consuming mass quantities of food.
See, that's the thing.
On the show, they were drinking mass
the
quantities of
sketches,
beer.
In the sketches, they would just take a 6-pack of beer, open all the cans, and just.
He did that with a pack of cigarettes, and then when they're at the
Pepsi.
country club, he and Jason Alexander are sitting at the bar, and Jason Alexander has a regular sized mug of beer, and Beldar has like a 42-ounce mug of beer.
And see, this speaks to what I was saying about it being. It just reeks of sponsorships.
Mhm.
Like somebody said, we really don't need to drink all the beer because we
Yeah.
got Subway money and.
But cigarettes are fine.
Yeah, well, he was 93. It was still
Mhm.
okay, but that just speaks to how this movie sucks, and don't watch it.
Fair enough. Chelsea, final thoughts? No! She did the no button, you guys. All right, with that, we're going to go into our final bonus segment, which is going to be a battle royale between some fictional villains from SNL. Maybe not villains, just slight antagonists. First, we've got Landshark versus Mr. Bill / Mr. Hand.
It would be Sluggo. That's the villain in Mr. Bill.
No, it's Mr. Hand. Mr. Hand is always who's killing him.
But Sluggo was the bad guy.
Okay, and then finally, Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer.
Yeah.
Chelsea?
Unfrozen caveman lawyer.
Your Honor, I'm but a simple caveman. I don't know anything about technology. No, Landshark.
He's going Landshark.
He's a soulless killer.
I'm agreeing with Chelsea, Unfrozen Caveman Lawyer, and rest in peace, Phil Hartman.
Absolutely.
Gone too
Aw.
soon.
One of the greatest cast members of all time.
Also very good on many of his voice roles on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
All right, we want to wrap it up. I want to thank you, Chelsea, for being here. Anything you want to plug?
Trivia.
I swear I'll do better next week. And also the engineer, my co-host and co-producer, Sean the Brew Boss. Anything you want to plug?
I'm plugging next week's episode.
Okay.
Episode 200
is also going to be our very first watch party.
Very first watch party. We're doing something different, and we hope that everyone enjoys it. We do want feedback on whether or not you like this.
Yeah, it's our first try at it. We might have to work out some kinks with the second go around, but that's how we learn, right?
Yep.
And so should we tell them what movie we're watching?
Absolutely. This is the abandoned episode because we were canceled.
We were gonna do a mini-sode recasting this live at the Beer Garden at Seminar. That's seminarbrewing.com. We're talking about the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension. And we're not going to be recasting it. We might talk about who we might put in those roles while we're watching it, but we're basically just going to try to riff on it, right?
We're going to do a live watch party, and we're going to try to do it in such a way that the audience at home can cue it up and listen to our audio commentary at the same time.
Right.
So yeah, we're going to have fun.
I'm looking forward to it so much. Do you know, here's your sneak preview trivia question about Buckaroo Banzai. In a cut flashback scene and a photo in the jet car, Buckaroo's mother is shown. What actress played that role?
Oh, geez, I don't know.
I've never seen this movie, so I don't know.
Where you're going at?
I know.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis. We want to plug the podcast itself. Please rate, review, and subscribe to us on all of your podcatcher apps. Also, we are hosted online on Podbean. We're Cinema Chop Shop on there. We're at Cinema Chop Shop on Twitter. We are Cinema Chop Shop on Facebook and Gmail. Also Untapped, UNTAPPD. That's where we'll check in these two movies. Did you just dab?
Yeah, I always dab. You never notice it, but I did it bigger this time.
And then we are the Cinema Chop Shop Cinema Chop Shop podcast on YouTube. And we recorded this episode, and hopefully you will go and check that out there. Finally, farewell. Thank you to you, the listeners. Remember to keep wearing your mask if you're not fully vaccinated. Social distance, and get that vax. Please remember to watch, shop, retrofit.